or liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
What's going on here? Sorry, you can still see this thing. There we go. That's what I was looking for. I clicked the wrong thing, guys. And I clicked the wrong thing, and now that's gone away. There we go. There we go. Discombobulated, recombobulated. Let's bring it back together. Hello and welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Today is Wednesday, February 14th, 2024. 7th week in comics in 2024. It's also, of course, Valentine's Day and Ash Wednesday. I did get the mark. I rubbed it off. Just a Wednesday otherwise for me. But Chris, how are you doing this? How are you doing this Valentine's Day? How are you doing this Ash Wednesday? This Wednesday, February 14th. Oh, and you're muted again.
Already inadvertently ate meat with beef jerky, so that was
all I heard was beef jerky. That's all I heard.
With Lent, of course, I ate meat already because I always forget about that.
That's okay.
It's always on a Wednesday. The Friday I always remember. It's that first Wednesday I always usually screw up somehow.
Yeah. I don't even. I've done my time. I don't even bother. Those kinds of things. I probably should. I should probably take off meat on Fridays. I should think about that.
Wow, I'm surprised you don't do that.
Yeah. It's a whole conversation. Joel and I will talk about it on Monday. Or maybe I'll talk about it on Monday. I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit surprised you do. That's interesting. It's good to know. There we go.
It's a good day to go vegetarian every once in a while to switch up the good old diet.
I had chicken for dinner. What did I have for lunch? Did I have meat for lunch? Maybe I did. No, I don't know. Oh, whatever. I think I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's what I had. So I took meat off for lunch. There we go. Maybe that's the plan. There we go. Yes, this is the Tractor Beam Culinary Reviews. Penitential Culinary Reviews. Comic book reviews. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Ion Cannon Pod and at Star Raptor. Chris, you want to talk about your YouTube, etc.?
Yeah, youtube.com/StarRaptor. I have my review for Mace Windu up there right now. It's been up there for a week, actually. So let's see how much I remember.
There we go.
youtube.com/StarRaptor. There you go.
Yeah, so we got three books this week because last week, for those who were watching, we got, or for those who didn't, I got something in my eye. 1 second. Those who didn't watch or didn't listen, we had Ethan Sachs on. That was a fantastic interview. Again, really grateful for him for coming on, chatting all about bounty hunters, a little bit about dark droids, but even a bit about some news about Django. That was cool.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of face palming. I can't really maneuver right now, but right back there, I have a photo of Django Fett, one of Dom's photos. I don't know if it's signed by Tim Morrison. I forget, but yeah. I should have pointed it out.
There's a Django Fett right there, Hasbro Black
there we
series
go.
I forgot about that I could have also mentioned.
All right, well, we're even then. Next, when that book starts, which we're going to both allow, we'll dive in. We'll bring out all the props. We'll bring out all the toys for that one. Yeah, so that is also, believe it or not, available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So I was able to put it onto the Ion Cannon audio feed. So if audio is your speed, I will start doing Tractor Beam eventually. I just need to get some things. Need to just get to some things. I've got a long weekend here. We got a long weekend here in Canada this coming weekend, so I'm probably gonna take some time then to sort some things out. So that'll be fun. I guess in Ontario, Ontario, we have something called Family Day.
That's so weird because America has something called President's Day this weekend.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was probably
Monday.
You know what? That's probably not a coincidence. That's probably to say all of our business is in the US, and if they take a day off, we should take a day off too. So. Joel and I are not taking a day off. I will say we're talking about Lent and death and new life and all that fun stuff. Because this past Monday we talked about love and romance. And
I've actually been listening to that episode as we speak on the drive to work and back, and it's really, really good. I like how you guys are diving into each era's major romance
Yeah.
And talking in depth about it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, some interesting things to say about Padme in that one, I think. I don't know if we've gotten to that yet, but yeah.
Yeah, I
those are
just
good.
started that part where you
Yeah.
guys are talking about. Yeah, this is felt
It's
a
an
little off. Like, how are these people even together? What it's a plot thing? Yeah.
I think we get there. I think I get there at least, but because I'm a prequelist, you know me. Anyway, speaking of prequelism, we got a comic books to review.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
speaking of. Sorry to interrupt. This wasn't
One
planned.
more.
I didn't mention it, but I just wanted to show this off real quick.
Sure.
So my local comic book shop had these lying around as they normally do, and I said, "Oh, I'm actually gonna go out of my way and get one of these. They're free. This is
Yeah.
like their like weekly newspaper. I don't know. In America, it might be just
Yeah, I
like
think we have those too
thing.
sometimes. Yeah,
On the back, there's a nice write up. So
yeah, that's
as
pretty
I
sweet.
said, I'm trying to collect anything Django Fett related. So even if it's a stupid little free thing, I'm gonna pick it up and then hopefully get some variants when the actual issue comes out. According to that, it's coming out at the end of March. Unfortunately, I was hoping it would be the first week of March, but darn it.
Yeah, I think March 20th is
Yeah.
when that one comes out. Yeah, definitely. I mean, pick it up. Why not? It's a free magazine, free newspaper. I think they do have those here too. The comic book weekly. I might swing by my other shop up near my parents this weekend. To see what they've got, see if they have it. Anyway, speaking of prequels, let's dive right in here. We do have 3 books because last week we didn't do Mace Windu, so we got Mace Windu number 1.
We got Mace Windu number 1.
There we go. Written by Mark Bernardin, art by George Janti and Dexter Vines.
Yeah, so
Color
fun
by
fact.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fun fact, Mark Bernardin is actually a screenwriter.
Yes, yeah, he's
I
definitely.
did not know that until I was listening to the guys at the splash page mention that. So there you go. You got a lot of screenwriters in Star Wars comics between Mark Guggenheim
Yes.
and Mark Bernardin. And yeah, they both have the same first name, but they also write kick-ass stories.
They do,
So I
yeah.
mean, right off the bat, I'll let you continue with the creative team and all that because we want to make sure we
and we'll definitely
that.
get to the writing in a minute. But so it's colored by Andrew Dahlhaus and covered by Mateus Manhanini. Sorry, you got to make sure I get that right, Manhanini. One of the greatest Jedi must stop an incendiary secret from falling into the wrong hands. Even in the years before the Clone Wars, Mace Windu was known for his discipline, determination, and combat skills. When a scientist's discovery threatens the balance of the galaxy, Mace is led down a treacherous path of mystery and action. Introducing Azita Cruz, a pirate with a deadly secret. The Hutts and the Republic will stop at nothing to control. First off, let's flash that cover again. This is an amazing cover by Mateus Manhanini. Yeah, you got it up there too. It's the closest thing to a Virgin variant in a direct edition, just because of the way it's all framed and everything. Because the title, it just feels like a Virgin for some reason, because of the title is so much smaller and he's so much bigger in the frame. So, and there's even the way the lightsaber is framed and whatnot. So that's one thing to say. And another thing, you could tell when I forgot that he's a screenwriter, and Joel's pointing out he's also co-host and friends with Kevin Smith. He's in cahoots with him too. Just incredibly, sometimes when it's a narration, those narration boxes, the flow can feel a little off, a little too slow sometimes. I know there's one comic by George Mann, Engine Ward, that is pretty cool. It's really great, but sometimes that's the main driver for all of those 12 issues. And so that might actually end up feeling this way in this comic as well. But for just that setup where he's going through narrating by himself this adventure, I mean, he's on his own on this planet, looking for Azita Cruz, who turns out the deadly secret is this new coaxium formula that I think probably is a bit of a nod to, obviously any mention of coaxium is going to be a bit of a nod to Solo, a Star Wars story. But yeah, to see, I mean, this is of course a few decades before.
Beth, I think we might have lost you.
I can hear you.
Okay, you're good now.
We're good. We're good back. This coaxium mixture. Yeah, I mean, it was really neat, kind of like we were talking about Django with Mace. It doesn't say if he's even a master yet. He's still a knight.
He's a master.
He's a master at this
I
point.
like somebody address him as master, but
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
that could be an honorary title thing.
Yeah, it could be, but he's still definitely a lot younger and just on the hunt, on the prowl, trying to find this Azita cruise in this cool underworld planet
Man, this is a
city,
great planet.
and just and the way, like again, thinking that he's a screenwriter, Mark Bernardine,
Dude,
it really emerges, engrosses you. What's the word? Immerses you into
dialogue
the story. Yeah, the dialogue, but
is
again, even the
so
narration.
good. The narration,
Mhm.
man. I'm sorry to
So,
interject
yeah.
again, but I'm excited to
You're
talk about
excited to
this
jump in.
book, man.
Yeah, so I'll say it again. It's a number one, so it's definitely got things to set up. Also, interestingly, I don't know if that little first act tag teaser at the beginning thing with he helps stop this droid prison break, something or other. I don't know if that's going to tie in at all. I think that's connected also to the Revelations story. No, it is connected to it. But yeah, definitely a really strong start. Really love, again, obviously seeing before the Phantom Menace, but kicking off, the Phantom Menace at 25 party here for Mace Windu number 1. Yeah, go ahead, jump in. What did you think of this issue?
Yeah, I would say it's a great jumping off point because it literally picks up right after the events of what happened in Revelations when he goes to the prison planet. And it's just like the first words I think are spoken in his book or referenced in the book is like, no one ever escapes from this underwater prison until now. And it's just Mace Windu emerging. And the art is just so good on this, just like the rain and the splash, everything with it is just, I'm looking at it right now as we speak, and I'm just flipping through the pages.
Yeah.
And geez, like even with like Windu in this full page spread, just the way the water, the droplets are and everything, the way his cloak and everything on that skiff, and they're bringing back the Return of the Jedi skiff. I mean, come on, what's not to like? I was sold in the first like 3 pages when I seen that. It's like, okay, you know we're going places if we're including something like that. I mean, this is using the Force to just force push this thing, and then using a Jedi mind trick on this character to just make him pilot it to go after these guys. This is Mace Windu, and going into this, to preamble this, I wasn't a fan of Mace Windu, Jedi of the Republic. There's some cool flashback stuff into him as like a youngling or a young Padawan or something. But other than that, like I just didn't really care for that story that much. But this one seems like it's really going to dive more into Mace at a time in his life when he is not part of being a general in an army. This is we're exploring this new era of Star Wars, and I would say that the world building is incredible at this planet called Vergara, and the idea that we're set up to believe that these people either work for this refinery and that they can stay afloat doing that, or if they aren't, they're trying to just get anybody's attention and get their stuff and beat them up. And it's really cool seeing Mace Windu in this position of, first off, it's cool seeing him in like this Hoth looking attire. We're getting him out of his normal sense of, oh, this is Mace Windu, his normal gear. And he's almost playing a detective in a way, like a Bruce Wayne or Sherlock, even, of like, okay, how am I supposed to find this person with all these people around? And I'm not the only person that's looking for them because all these other people are out there trying to find this person. So there's the stakes are already elevated. We're seeing Mace Windu. We always knew back in Legends Lord, Mace Windu skirted the edge of what he should and should not do as a Jedi, meaning there's some darkness to this character, between Jedi mind tricking somebody to straight up bribing somebody money to tell them where this person is, to straight up bisecting 3 people. I'm pretty sure those people just don't have a torso anymore. I think they just got sliced.
They got mauled. Darth Mauled.
It's freaking incredible.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing this devastatingly powerful Mace Windu that will do what he needs to get done to get the job done. And this is the Mace that I've wanted to see. And I don't know. I had to double check again for like the 4th or 5th time, and you can help me on this one. I don't know if this is supposed to be a shatter point or this actually happened, because I'm obsessed with. I read the Shatterpoint book or listened to it on audio book not too long ago, and I love this idea that Mace Windu has a Shatterpoint where he can literally see events happening in the future and can, based off of that, adjust what he needs to get things done. So he walks into these goons, these thugs on the streets of Agara, and he literally says, "Here's what's gonna happen." And that's a colorized photo. That's a
Yeah.
colorized photo, and the rest 3 panels below are black and white. And then he says, "Or you can run." And there's a purple kind of thing behind his head. I don't know if he literally put that into their minds that, like, this is what's gonna happen if you guys try to stand up against me, and like they all realized that and ran away. And that to me is like the replication of the Shatterpoint, because I know for Mace Windu, his color is obviously purple with his lightsaber. So it looks like there's like squiggly lines behind his head. Maybe I'm looking like way too into this, but that's my first impression was, oh my gosh, we're gonna get like some really cool lore stuff with Shatterpoint. Maybe we'll get some like information on his Vipod fighting form with the darkness kind of counterfeit method or whatever. But
Yeah,
I know I'm rambling
okay.
a little bit, but
So I'll say a few things. First of all, I mean, I haven't read Shatterpoint, so I don't quite know the lore there. But it's good to know. I mean, that's interesting. It's certainly possible. I just interpreted that as him narrating, "This is what I'm going to do." But then but we don't actually get the dialogue. We just get the visual of it. We get the impression of it, because they get this impression of it. But it could very well be. And if you're going to bring that in, I think this is the way you do it. You show it, you don't tell it.
Yeah.
And there's explicitly very much of a show, literally. That's all that we get. He doesn't even, we don't hear him telling it, is what I'm getting at. And then, those weird purple squiggly things. I was just so enmeshed in the story that I didn't even notice what's happening there. But I mean, the green goggles and everything, like there's definitely some sort of mystique. I mean, it's both smoke and mirrors and probably actual force gobbledygook going on at the same time. I mean, that's what that's not so much what Mace Windu usually is, but in this, I think could be this new thing where, I mean, they're really leaning into the film noir, and that's another interesting.
Noir.
It's the noir, and then that's what I meant. Why that narration stands out to me so much is because it's kind of, it's not quite, like with a Batman black and white or whatever it's called. Like an actual, or Spider. I think Spider-Man does that too. Whatever the actual noir throwbacks, but really picking up on those tropes and really picking up on, here is a private, not quite a private investigator to the Jedi Order, but a lone wolf investigator going into this dingy environment. Narrating to himself, he's on his own, having to fend for himself and having to deal with all these thugs and all these other competing organizations, including, you got that skiff at the beginning, including the Hutts. And we don't even see a Hutt in this, I don't think.
They're mentioned, a Hutt,
but that's just it. They're just mentioned, and the Pikes.
So I love
the
that.
Hutts, but for some reason, we feel their influence by the action that Yoda comes to him and says, Yoda finds him in the temple and says, "Hey, we have this mission for you. You need to get going. You need to go do this." And obviously he's going to go do this. It's an incredibly, again, the word I keep bringing up is immersive story that we feel, and we feel our way through. We feel our way through with him in Vergara, in this town, all the way to, okay, is he gonna be maybe in trouble with these thugs? Not really, in the end of the day, but we feel that. And then we're not sure. He's on the run. He's running after Azita. And at this last panel, he's got, I mean, it's kind of this weird, slightly unintentional reference maybe to the end of Bounty Hunters, slightly, but I'll show this one here, the open hand, and explicitly with the lightsaber, and saying, I'm you called the Jedi, and the Jedi, you called, and the Jedi have answered. I mean, it's him. Then he has to show the true colors of what, at least what the Jedi are offering, and they're offering some like this is still the era of hope and optimism for the Jedi, that people still look to the Jedi. Maybe not everyone, obviously, but enough people. Maybe he's banking on them saying, okay, oh, he's a Jedi. At the very least,
Hmm.
one of the most formidable groups and powerful arms and instruments in the galaxy. I mean, the Republic is still very strong, and so it's not like what we see with the westerns in the Mandalorian, where the Jedi and the Republic are non-existent. Remember, it's a similar tone, but it's a much different era, and that's what's so fascinating about this era. Just like with the High Republic era, right? A couple of centuries before, the Jedi and the Republic are at their height. You can have a Jedi go in there, take these actions. I mean, it's kind of a little bit like Obi-Wan in that arc in the Clone Wars where he goes undercover in disguise.
Oh yeah.
I forget that. That was a really great arc. Really great performance with James
Or-
Arnold Taylor in that. So definitely, I mean, off to a great start again with this, setting the tone. Yeah, I mean, as always, stories like it's easy to start a story. I mean, Mark Bernardine knows how to finish a story. We know that. So looking forward to the rest of this book. Do you have any last thoughts on Mace Windu?
No, I think I'm good for now, but it impressed me more than I expected, so I'm
Yeah.
happy about that.
There we go. All right, let's move right along. Speaking of High Republic, High Republic Adventures number 3, written by Daniel Jose Older, art by Harvey Tolibau and Nick Brokenshire, color by Michael Attier, cover by Harvey and Kevin Tolibau. The fate of the scattered survivors of the Starlight Beacon disaster is slowly becoming more clear, as Zeen, Court, and 5AG3 must follow up every lead to find out who among their old Starhopper friends are still alive and where they may be. This is a bit of an odd description, but it's from both Dark Horse and Previews of the World, so I'm going to keep going. But information from inside the Occlusion Zone is very hard to come by. This is relevant, and the answers they seek may serve only to raise more questions. Like, did any of their allies survive at all? So a Zeen story, it's a Lula story. Continuing the Lula story. What did you think of High Republic Adventures number 3?
Yeah, I like how it's set really from Lula's perspective. And we open up, and there are like 4 or 5 or even 6 pages with no dialogue that are beautifully done by Nick Brokenshire.
Mm-hmm.
That because there's 2 artists on this book, which is pretty neat because all the flashbacks are Nick Brokenshire, and I think the same thing happened for last issue. But this idea is just like this tone poem of just her
Mm-hmm.
finding herself in the galaxy. She walks into these Palans. Next thing you know, you have these people and these creatures charging away, and she's using the force and grabbing her blaster, firing, killing them, and then becomes like, exalted by these Palans to be like, oh, please, like, lead our refuge over here. Like, I liked how like silent those images were, and they were beautifully done. And it's hard to tell a story without words, and I think in those moments Nick Brokenshire is able to illustrate a really good, easy to follow story that looks really freaking cool. So I love that. I loved getting into this, getting into the mind of Lula, and she just still doesn't really know what happens, but she has this innate connection to people she loves. Like at the end of issue 2, she's like hugging everybody. She's like, I don't know what to do, but this feels good. And she's like hugging everybody. Same thing that happens with Cantham Sai. Like he's like all going on about, oh, it could take a while to get back to, and then she instantly hugs him. It's just like there's this really like innate sense of like, okay. And then the idea of him dueling with her, like a training saber, like they're just messing around, and he's saying, I like this idea about, hey, sometimes the mind doesn't remember as much as the body does. So this kind of like muscle memory with the lightsabers is like maybe gonna help her try to remember her past. So stuff like that. I did get a little bit, questionable when it came to the idea of this droid. I think his name is B333 or something like that. The new droid that was introduced in this episode, in this issue. So I'm just concerned about the logistics of it. How does this Nautilin have the ability to go back and forth from the occlusion zone? I'm assuming she has a path engine on her ship because
Mhm.
she goes from the outside of the occlusion zone to the inside to get to the prison ship where Farzala is, which, by the way, thank you, because last episode or the two weeks ago, I said, "Where's Farzala?"
Keep
And we
doing the
got
episodes.
that. I'm like
It's
so
good.
happy. Like, yes, the crew is all alive, basically. But yeah, I mean, that was my thing. I really enjoyed this issue, except for that last little thing. And I did enjoy the nods to DJ Older's his
Yes.
other characters with what is their name? Shan with the piano, and then you had
Yeah.
Svino from Midnight Horizon. So it was really cool seeing like all these musical characters. He must be a musician. I'm
Yeah, I
assuming.
think so. Well, Svino and Crash, of course, the nod to Alyssa Wong,
Mhm.
Crash Wong, definitely. Yeah, great to see. I think this is the first appearance, at least of Crash Wong, in this
Wait,
comic. I
Crash
think,
Long is in this
yeah,
comic?
Crash is in this comic. Yeah, I mean, because what's
They
like? I think,
mentioned their name, but
yeah,
I didn't realize that they're actually in here.
yeah, I think. I'm pretty sure this is her here. I'm showing a lot of comic covers right now. Pink hair.
Oh wait, really?
I think so. That's my guess.
That was her?
I don't know. Could be wrong.
I'm sitting here like going, who is this person and why should I know them, but I don't know them?
Like so. Yeah. Okay. So a few things. So Svino. So Zeen and Svino. They're about to do a gig together. That was cool. Let's do it. Sing a gig together. And Zeen asks Crash here too. And then next page, I think we have Crash talking to Lula. So I think that's Crash. That'd be my guess. Talking about but we're tracking down the Nile leader responsible for plunging Corellia into war. So if you read, you're from Midnight Horizon and whatnot, Corellia, and I guess also in Escape from Valo.
Might be her,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thing with B333 says here he's working on he's working on a hauler that for the Nile. Like he's undercover, and so that lets him get in and out of the occlusion zone. That I don't know if you buy that still. That's fair. I do want to get that quote. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And then the Nautilin. I know we're doing a lot
Yeah,
of
Nautilin's
investigative
good.
work on this audio
Yeah,
podcast.
whatever. Well,
But that's what happens when these comics came out. We read them earlier the day. We didn't have a whole lot of time to think about it.
fair.
But this one character must be affiliated with the Nile because
Oh, maybe.
I mean she's got
that's true.
tattoos. It looks like she's got tattoos
Mhm.
of those storm symbols, right? On her forehead.
No, I think those are just swirls. I don't know. So is she Nile? Is she? Oh no, I think she's also undercover for the Corellian for Crash's group or for the Jedi. We don't know. I mean, maybe they could have been a bit clearer about that. That's true. Well, a few things I want to say. So the quote is with Lula dueling with Cantum. Some things the body remembers better than the mind, and that seems very clearly to be what like you picked up on this. Very clearly to be what Lula's healing journey is, and then that I think that is true with a lot of people, folks who maybe experiencing dementia or other memory loss. They remember a lot of habits. They remember a lot of things by rote, kind of their long term memory and muscle memory. I think is connected to long term memory, and so yeah, there's things that we can't comprehend, like something as tragic as the fall of Starlight Beacon just affects different characters in different ways. And one of the ways, of course, it affects Lula this dramatic way. She loses her memory. There's a way that her body carries an identity and a connection to the Force. I mean, remember, where midichlorians or not, whatever, the character's connection to the Force is still bodily because it's life and it's connection to life. And so, and the way she just remembers relating to the Force. I don't want to say using or manipulating because she's a Jedi, but relating to it. And that can definitely come back to it. I will say in terms of this issue, that it was a fun issue. It was a good dive in. It's already issue number 3, and there's still a lot of setup. of bringing the team
Mm.
together, and that's going to be fine if this run is longer. If it's only 8 issues, if it's only 12 issues, I don't quite know. Um, then okay, this is a lot of setup, getting our characters back to where they are. If the rest of the if the maybe they go on an adventure together, and that'll feel more
Yeah.
connected. I
Yeah.
hope so. And again, I mean, I trust DJO to actually really pace this out and have this thought out. I'm just saying, okay, if we finally, we finally discover, I'm blanking on his name. The end. Uh, yeah, this
Wait,
guy.
Niv Drendal?
No, who am I
Oh,
blanking on?
Farzala.
Yeah, Farzala. Yeah, we've caught up with him behind the occlusion zone,
Yeah.
or behind the storm wall, and yeah, so at least we know where they are. I just hopefully there's something where they converge or some sort of narrative thrust, because again, everything's been from what's happened catching us up, and 3 issues catching us up. Or maybe, I mean, maybe it is just Lula finding herself again. Clearly Lula and Zeen aren't following, any kind of Jedi code. Of course, she's a Padawan, so it doesn't quite matter. I mean, she lost her memory, but is that going to be another flashpoint? um Lula was able to at least remember with that was a wonderful moment, a wonderful nice Valentine's Day moment too, of Lula able to remember something of herself from the message that Zeen had sent her, or maybe it's the other way around. I think it's, yeah, no, I'm right. It's the message that Zeen sent her, right? Um,
Mm.
she's able to remember something of herself, and yeah, again, it'll be interesting to see, with there's some, because we know with High Republic, at least there's this moment of decision that all Padawans have to come to, uh when they're about to be knighted, and especially if they have a love interest of some sort, they have to give that up. Joel and I talked about celibacy on Monday, and yeah, that it's an interesting take on it, and interesting reflection. What's going to happen with Lula and Zeen, which is going to be either tragic or interesting, given how important, how essential Zeen is to Lula finding herself again. Um, and so, yeah, who knows? Who knows what Cantum and the council will allow. Uh, you know, yeah, it's setting up some more drama there, is what I'm saying, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Again, this is a first act, and the first act is just hopefully just now coming to an end. So I don't know if you have any further thoughts.
Yeah, I found another interesting panel in this issue.
Oh yeah.
You got this panel where basically
Hmm.
Lula is saying thanks, Addie, for letting me borrow your lightsaber.
Yeah.
And you're seeing Zeen Barala getting real comfortable with Addie Sunvale from or Sunzi from the Galaxy's Edge
Oh yeah.
video game that you get to play as with her. I'm
Oh,
pretty
that's
sure that's
cool.
her. There's nobody else in High
Yeah.
Republic that's called Addie, to my
Oh
knowledge.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, they're
But
just
it's like,
hanging out.
what is Zeen doing like that close, like all up on her? That's all like, wait, what is happening in
Who
this
knows? I
sequence?
mean,
This is
Lula was away for a while. To be
they're
fair,
gonna have like a love triangle now. Like,
who knows? Who knows? Um, One last thing I'll say is I was actually pleasantly surprised that you were good with that wordless montage at the beginning, which was, yeah, I agree, really really beautifully drawn, very simplified color palette, kind of subdued, almost pastelish. Not that I'm an expert on these things, but
yeah,
mostly blue and pink. Interesting enough, and a bit of red
very
for
cool.
the um for the Powans. Because I mean, I remember that piece from Momoko Visions comic that I thought was great. That I think a lot of people may have struggled with.
I
That's a
struggle with.
whole issue, and also an issue with characters in a context and a setting we have no clue about because it's
Yeah.
visions. This was, yeah, at least more grounded, but yeah, definitely really effective use of silence. Again, two effective uses of silence in both these comics.
And
I
here's
am
the yeah.
so good.
Going back to your point about, oh man, this is taking too long to get going. I feel like we might have said the same thing about volume 2 of
Yeah,
the same series, where it's like you just have so many characters and their introductions and all, but then by this last like 5 or 4 or 5 episodes issues, then it really hits the ground running. So the tough part is like there was such a big shift going from phase 1 to 2 with the fall of Starlight. You have all these characters separated, some of them behind enemy lines,
Yeah.
that it's hard to get back to the heyday of what this book was all about when they were together, because that's the formula, is having these characters together on adventures. Hence High Republic Adventures is where it gets good,
Yeah.
and the fact that we're not there yet is straining a little bit. But I think if we don't get there by the end of issue number 4, then we're in a little bit of trouble, because I think the first one was like what, 11 or 12 issues. The
Yeah.
second run was 8. I'm thinking this is going to be between 8 and 10. So that would mean like you're already halfway through and not much, forward momentum has gotten there. But I don't think I'll waste any more time talking about that. But it's an interesting thing to think about.
I'm gonna look this up. I don't know if it's been Ventures Phase 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that's a great point about that's a great point about Phase 2, right? I mean, everything with Zav and Maskanata and Therm Scissor Punch, and of course Dexter.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Remembering back, he really did get going, and it was really a really interesting single character focused story.
By the way,
character. And so I'll just finish my point is, so that might be fine. And it's a great point that, again, the fall of Starlight, we're catching up, we're recovering from the fall of Starlight with the characters. And so there's that's true. The last point I'll say is, I mean, phase 2 was only 2 years in terms of real world release.
Oh yeah,
right, or like a year. Phase 1 was, I think it's 2 years real world. Phase 3 is going to be 3 years. It's it's going to go until end of 2025. So that makes these comics really interesting, right? Because the novels, they can spread out, but the comics, they don't have to. The comics are monthly. That's the industry, that's the pattern, that's what we expect. Our monthly releases. These are going to be monthly releases. So this could go for a while. It could, because this is the ongoing, right? Just like with Calvin Scott's is the ongoing, the High Republic ongoing. I'd be happy if it went 15, 16 issues, frankly. And if it did, then this introduction is perfect. It's a great amount. We'll see. I don't know if I have to find out how many issues this is going to be.
Well, I know High Republic is going to be, for Marvel, just 10 issues, which would bring it well before the end of 2025. That's for sure.
That's true.
And they could always do the route of just releasing a single graphic novel, I'm guessing, every once in a while, even after those runs ended. I mean, you look at what Dark Horse is doing, right? We're going to come up in April or May. We're going to get the Qui-Gon Jinn original graphic novel, Obi-Wan. It's like, I don't know what the cadence of those releases are going to be, but once we get them, maybe we'll get one a month or something. I don't know. But as far as, while you look that up, for those of you, and it's been out for over 2 weeks, so I got to say this, it's not a huge spoiler, but for those fans of Volume 2 of the High Republic with Sav Maligan and the Dank Grax and all those characters, you're going to be rewarded for reading those comics in Escape from Valo, written by Daniel Hizolder and Alyssa Wong. Great book.
I haven't finished yet.
It's a middle grade novel, but it really feels like a young adult novel at many points throughout that story. So definitely give that a read or a listen, because everything connects. And just getting into the big news that came out this week, the idea that we're going to go back in time. Tessa Gratton has given us Temptation of the Force, and in that StarWars.com press release, they say, hey, we're going to get a lot of nods going back to phase 2. So that makes me really happy.
Yeah, that's great. And definitely Joel and I have to give that announcement a little closer look, but and I have to finish Escape from Valo. But I've gotten to the part with the Dank Grax.
Nice.
At least the, I mean, that's early. They get
the Zabrak or the Athorian one.
The Zabrak kid.
Yeah.
So also High Republic Adventures, it looks like the last announced issue is number 7.
No, that's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
they probably just haven't announced. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's probably going to come in June. But yeah, we got a ways to go. I think we got a ways to go with this comic, which is good. Again, if it's longer, then yeah, give us 3-4 issues of setup. And, it's supposed to be kind of the younger readers, but for High Republic adventures, that means more just younger characters. It doesn't necessarily mean younger means shorter attention span. It means maybe a bit more text, more flashy colors and art. But with this, I've never felt talked down to.
Yeah, especially what's been happening with the middle grade and young adult novels in the High Republic. It certainly feels like the maturity meter has been increased, knowing that the ages of these readers have they started out 2021. 2021 High Republic started, right?
They're aging them up with us.
They're aging them up. So now the justification is, the readers are getting older. If they were 8 years old, they're gonna be 11 or 12 now at this point. So they're aging up. We're gonna age up the stories, and that's great.
And the characters, they're now Lula and Zeen, they definitely even look older. I mentioned this definitely. I think for issue 1 or 2. All the characters look older and look more mature. Very close to knighthood. Especially, here's another thing to think about, is the Guardian protocols. Who's gonna Lula, she needs to actually remember who she is. But, I guess maybe it was thinking of that maybe in context of this comic. At least some of them, because of the Guardian protocols. I was probably also thinking of it in terms of Escape from Valo and Ram.
True.
That they're gonna from what I've read, so the Guardian protocol specifically about fast tracking Padawans to knighthood, because they need them now, and they need them yesterday. So if any Padawan has any sort of more confident leadership capacity, don't worry about the trials. Just go snip off the Padawan braid is what I mean. There we go. So anyways, any last thoughts on High Republic Adventures number 3?
Yeah, I think we're ready to talk about the last one here for the week.
Alrighty, Darth Vader number 43, written by Greg Pak, art by Adam Gorham, colors by Federico Blee, cover by Lanil Francis Yu and Romulo Fajardo Jr. Who dares commit treason against the Empire? Oh yeah, it's a very oh no, it's on the back there. Okay, I see. There we go. I see. You're just gonna turn it around. The way you're gonna store that is by turning it around and just having that out, or buy 2 copies. One last thing, sorry, about High Republic Adventures, I forgot to mention. Variant cover by Edmonton's Chariel. So Canadian content. Check that out. Great 22-year-old Canadian artist and Canadian artist. So check her out on Twitter too. Good people. Okay. Anyway, who dares commit treason against the Empire? Seemingly disparate threads from years of storytelling come together as Darth Vader uncovers the master plan of the Schism Imperial. The Umbaran nurtures her conspirators. Kitster and Wald return, along with the death machinery of Governor Tantaza. But when a group of betrayers come together, how long will it be until they betray each other? This one, of the 3, this one I really stood out to me the most, interestingly enough, and especially because we got more Sly Moore story than I've ever seen. I haven't read much of her in Legends, but in the flashback, the way she interviews all these 3 characters, including Tantaza, from that planet where, I'll get into that in a second. The way she said she hatches this plan to say, okay, you're going to keep those charges against you, so you can go into hiding, go under the weather, under the radar,
like sleeper cells.
Yeah, like sleeper cells, but they know what they're doing, so that she's just secretly building this plot against Palpatine. That's going to go interestingly, but really, really sly, really smart, really well, aptly named. And she's definitely she's having her time in the sun a little bit here. She had some moments kind of going against Vader in just before War of the Bounty Hunters, and through War of the Bounty Hunters, there's that rivalry building up, and she gets knocked down a peg and has to deal with it. We see her dealing with that. and she deals with it by saying, "Well, screw you guys. I'm gonna take this fight to Palpatine somehow, very carefully, very very sly." I'm gonna keep doing that. Sly
Oh,
Moore.
man.
This character who just shows up in the background in what Revenge of the Sith. Don't know anything about her. I know she gets some time in Legends, a little bit, but yeah, this is the most intriguing standout story that she's leading this kind of attempted coup or something. And she gets Darth Vader to her cause, and at least I don't know what Darth Vader's plan here is for this, but he has those former rebel uh, soldier enhanced soldiers. So there's a continuation from Dark Droids. I think this whole thing, Kitster and Tontaza coming together from before that's before War of the Bounty Hunters, right? That's everything with Sabe coming back. Sabe herself doesn't come back.
No,
But
wait, was
was that
that
before? It was a while ago,
with
whenever
Nab?
that was.
Didn't they have the big weather machine? That was
So
during Crimson Reign, right?
so okay, that's during Crimson Reign. Fair enough. But that it's this kind of kickback to, so that weather machine I think is that death machine, right? As we see it in action again here. And I mean, the way Greg Pak is playing with our sense, well, in that arc before, the way he played with our sense of protagonist and villain, and how, you know, we were seeing this through Kitster's point of view, because you remember the kid who said wizard in episode 1, TPM at 25, by the way. And so Darth Vader comes to save the day from Tontaza, who was, I guess, this Crimson Reign operative, right? Crimson Dawn operative, a little bit. Vader comes to save the day, and so Kitster thinks, oh, you're back to save the day, and no, Sly has Tontaza, has Vader together, and Kitster, what can he do? He can just say, okay, I'll turn the machine on. It's going to kill everybody. We got to get out of here. So yeah, again, really, I mean, I really love the way it brings everything together. Like, it's years of storytelling. So I mean, years being 25 years from Phantom Menace, but also, yeah, like last year with all that arc before, with Kitster and Wald and Tontaza, and Sly Moore and her rivalry. Yeah, this feels like it's coming again towards an end game, towards a culmination.
Okay.
Just because when you start pulling these strands together, it's starting to feel like, that's a great way to end a story, is to start pulling disparate strands together. I mean, it's how Kieran Gillen ended his story, right? Or yeah, especially, with Kieran Gillen ended Jason Aaron's story in the ongoing. Then, it's definitely how Ethan Sachs ended his, bringing Tonga and Valance together. Yeah, this is. I mean, we'll see. I mean, what I'm wondering, getting my mind going about. Okay, every Vader comic really ends with the strong sense of the Anakin Vader relationship, and I will always go into that whenever I talk about Vader, even if it's not really in this issue. But with Kitster being in play, and having this role, kind of this side role, I do wonder, years of storytelling, if there's something about him and about these shifting loyalties and heroism, Vader kind of being the hero and getting a taste of that. This is this memory of it. Vader being part of this is kind of my theory about where all this is going, is Vader being part of this move against Palpatine, even if he's there, maybe shut it down or who knows what. Everything is heading towards chucking Palpatine off a ledge in Return of the Jedi. So, but it's all Anakin chucking him off a ledge. And so there's that, but everything has to kind of prepare it. So all that to say, it's earning its time again, right? This arc is earning its time as a delay to Return of the Jedi. We know that's a ways away towards the end of the year, but yeah, even as a single issue, and the way it brought out all the different characters, but the way they interacted with each other, and the way the allegiances and loyalties shifted, I thought was really compelling. And then it leaves us with this question: when a group of betrayers, which one that sort of is implied in the issue, but I actually like how the I guess this is a Marvel the comment preview thing says it: when a group of betrayers come together, how long until they betray each other, especially if they're on the dark side. So really great middle of an arc issue, moving things forward, then tying things back, and standing on its own pretty well. So those are my thoughts on Vader 43. What do you think?
Yeah, I know. I think that this book was very intellectual. I had to read it a couple of times actually to really like get all the hard details down, because first of all, I like the idea the fact that Tantaza is the perspective character in this story. It's called Darth Vader, but if you realize every scene has her in it. So going from her being led down in the manacles to the office of administrator, not sub-administrator, administrator Sly Moore now.
Oh, yeah.
And his whole idea of how, like you said, talking about, I like that whole sequence of her just getting into the minds of these guys and getting the one guy to come forward and then just electrocuting him. And then everybody else is like, this whole issue gave me very strong Andor and Rogue One vibes. Because, well, first off, there's literally a person doing the same job as Cyril Carell or whatever his name is, Cyril Karn, doing like one of those desk jobs with the tie, the same uniform. I said, wow, that's straight. Yeah, it's straight up from Andor. It's great. We're getting things from Andor references. But then going even to the end with this rebel general, like the rebels liberated Wald and Kitster and the other, the doctor and all those guys from the Imperials, but then they were going to use their own tech against the Empire. So the idea, like going back to Rogue One, Andor like killing the informant to get out of there with whatever, they were willing to just go ahead and kill all these people. So they wouldn't.
They know too much.
Away. They knew too much of the rebels. Were going to literally just off all their scientists and everything. Yeah. And the idea that they were already experimenting in the first place with this object that could just wipe out an entire planet. They're like, oh, don't worry, we already scanned the planet. It doesn't have any valuable life here, so we can do our testing here. So this idea, going back to the rebels at this point, before Return of the Jedi, they're fighting fire with fire, saying, hey, what else can we do? Okay, let's just get this weapon of mass destruction and we'll just use it against the Empire now.
Yeah, I mean, it tracks like you're implying, I think, with that character in Andor. Why am I blanking on his name? The other guy in Andor who recruits Cassian. It tracks. I mean, even Saw Gerrera and them. It tracks
General Draven.
Yeah, Draven. Or Luthen. But well, both Luthen and Draven. It tracks with both of them. Thanks, Joel. It also tracks with them experimenting with these cyborgs in the first place that Vader is able to easily flip. I would like to see, just a stray thought, I would like to see at least even these characters when they were rebels, or how kind of their backstory, or rebels actually using cyborgs as well. That would be interesting. But yeah, it definitely, I definitely get the whole Andor Rogue One vibes for sure. Even just going into Moore's office and just it's at the ISB, right? It's there, right there on Coruscant. Definitely the bureaucratic intricacies, and using those bureaucratic intricacies as a part of the machinations, as for potentially these large scale implications. And if you try and take on Palpatine, I mean, that's the interesting thing, is we know how this is going to go for her. we know it's not. It's like how we thought it would go for Kira. But what's interesting is what sort of impact it will have long term. What impact will it have on Vader? That's what I'm asking, in terms of him going against Palpatine at all in some form or somehow. What impact will it have for the rebellion? For who knows what? Will any of these characters end up defecting? Will they show up in the New Republic? I don't know. That's what I mean by this article. Sorry?
Can you imagine if Sly Moore just appeared live action
That'd
post
be
Return of the
something.
Jedi? How much people would like, huh? Wait, that person's from episode 1 and they're alive here now? Like, yeah,
That'd be
go
so
read the Darth Vader comic from 2020. You'll find out.
So just to, so that's what I mean by, again, a great middle arc issue, which we don't talk about much. We talk a lot about first issues like Mace Windu. We talk a lot about like end of end issues like Afra and Bounty Hunters. This one, again, really has a trajectory, as I've said before. So yeah, if you have, I don't know, if you have any more thoughts on that, or
Yeah, I want to open up with the
Mhm.
actual opening of this issue because I thought it was really well worded. Just this intercom going off in the ISB of
Oh yeah.
Coruscant. Welcome to the ISB Office of Internal Review. Order through accountability.
Yeah.
Freedom through consequence. Like that is so Empire right
Trust through propaganda and mind control. There we go.
So absolutely loved it. Going back and seeing cool nods to other events that we've seen, getting good editor notes in here. The Admiral Corlicu, like, man, this guy got messed up. So I don't know if the Scourge like experimented on him or if that was partly from the explosion or something that his jaw is just gone. Now
Why does his name sound familiar? Where was he?
Well, apparently he goes all the way back with Sly Moore in, I think, the Exegol arc where they're trying to hunt him down and he's in his TIE advance and he gets to Exegol and he has to fight the Suma whatever thing it is. And then he's also apparently at that moment in Dark Droids when Vader is on the Executor and then all of the Scourge infects them and he's about to like wipe out the Executor and Vader does something and ends up getting them sent to his ship. And then that's what's referenced in this. So I don't know if they like took over his body with, the Scourge and tried to make him whatever, like a cyborg, or he might have just simply gotten shrapnel that just mangled his jaw from the explosions or something. But I think it's cool to bring a character back and be like, hey, they look cool and they sound cool now.
Yeah, I mean, well, it definitely gave cyborg vibes. So just mysterious cyborg. Yeah, and to see again those implications coming forward. Admiral Corlec, and again another thing with the Empire. I mean, that whole theme of order through justice, except for most people. Totally right about the Andor vibes. They're just looking at how, like, naming the hypocrisy of the Empire, the way these autocratic states keep on in
Oh
power.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's one shining moment in this, another shining moment in this issue when what do they call? Are they called like the what squadron are these cyborgs again? Something with an M, Mars Corps?
MAR or something. I don't know.
The Mar Corps or something like that. The one girl that looks kind of like Blue Beetle with those like
Neat.
apparatus that comes out of her. At one point, she has this like vivid recollection of like, oh my gosh, like where am I? What am I doing right now?
Right.
And then Vader just like uses the Force to switch her droid processor on, and then it's like this droid now has control. It's like that's horrifying. That's absolutely horrifying. That like you like snap out of it for 1 minute and you're in the middle of a war zone working with Vader. And it's like, wait, why am I on this side? Oh wait, and then you suddenly just get like snapped back into it. So that was like this cool moment to realize like there are these sympathetic rebel soldiers still deep inside of these cyborgs somewhere. And Vader just, messed with their internals and everything else to get them the Force to be working as like his slaves, essentially. Like, damn.
Yeah. I mean, horrifying, but also potential setup for a chink in the armor in this whole plan. So, I mean, we've seen rebels in this issue. We see the rebel, just reminding that they're present in this story too.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, just the general with the death machine. So maybe that Vader's control over them doesn't hold, and something happens. Again, not going to turn out well for them, but looking forward to some interesting story possibilities for the remainder of this arc. So yeah, definitely lots to chew on, lots to think about. Any last thoughts on Darth Vader number 43?
That for this week.
All right, sounds good. We'll definitely get to that. Before we sign off, yeah, honorable some Star Wars adjacent comics came out this week. Well, at least one Star Wars adjacent comic came out. Charles in Charge, Shrouded College, Bloody Dozen number 3 by Charles Soule and Alberto Albuquerque. Really interesting. I mean the whole Shrouded College concept. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's his Image book. Every arc is its own entry point, but I think it works more sequentially. Anyway, it's just an example of him playing with genre, playing with vampire genre and lore. Even his own Chinese studies comes into it, I think, a little bit. So yeah, definitely check that one out. Also, to releasing next week, Charles is still in charge, ongoing number 43. And before we mention that, just want to also shout out another somewhat Star Wars adjacent comic. I've been reading Gods, Gods. Number 5 comes out next week. That's by Jonathan Hickman. So that's nuts, as you can imagine, with Jonathan Hickman. Cover by Mateus Manhagnani, who did the Mace Windu covers. So yeah, check that. What are you looking forward to? Ongoing number 43, continuing that Luke, Ancient Sith, Kyber crystal thing happening. Still, it's fun. I like number 42. Looking forward to number 43. What are you thinking for that one?
Yeah, I'm just seeing what kind of huge revelation we might have, because I have a feeling we won't see Luke Skywalker for a while after this, with the Lando stuff going to start up. So this is a like a dual issue story. So what big stuff can come from it? Because there's been really cool moments in these Luke Skywalker spin-off storylines. The last one we had was when he went to whatever random planet and encountered Elzar Man, and it was like, whoa, High Republic Jedi interacting with Luke Skywalker. It doesn't get much cooler than this. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the history of this character is. Are they going to name drop like the Old Republic or Darth Bane or anything like a Sith Lord that is of note? And what does Luke actually come away from this experience? Does he just instantly realize, like, I just got to make the darn lightsaber already?
Yeah, why not? We know Charles knows exactly who that Sith is. We know Charles knows the whole backstory there. He'll only tell us what matters to Luke's story, because that's Charles's focus on the story at hand, the characters at hand. Even as amazing, that's the problem with Charles. His lore is so great, his world building is so great, but get us focused on the story at hand, the arc at hand, like you said. The beeline, hopefully the beeline to Return of the Jedi finally is coming, but still, building towards that and what the characters need to do in the moment. So yeah, check out your local comic book shop for that. Check out Shrouded College and all the books we talked about today, and of course Gods, because it's a really cool comic as well. Go grab that comic book news with the Jango Fett thing. Grab another copy of Jango Fett or whatnot whenever that comes out as well. So
we want to see that continue.
Yeah, we definitely do. So yeah, that does it for Tractor Beam this week. Chris, thanks again for another great episode, for spending your Valentine's Day with me.
Yeah, we'll see how the girlfriend how she feels about that, but
she thinks I'm great, so it's all good.
Yeah.
There we go.
But by the way, public service announcement: all episodes of Young Jedi Adventures are now on Disney Plus. I've now watched all 25 of them. They put out the last 6 today. So they have some cool references to the High Republic, so it is on topic. They go to the Starlight dedication ceremony. Wasn't as great as I thought it'd be. If I'm being honest, it's
a kid's show.
They run around Starlight Beacon for 24 minutes and show like 30 seconds of the ceremony.
Is there a bake off?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the total.
What's a race around Starlight without a
bake
opportunity?
Lost opportunity.
Speaking of Jose Older.
Season 2, come on. Season 2, give us that. But yeah, so that's out now. Check that out. But other than that, you can find me on Twitter talking about Star Wars and other things at Star Raptor YouTube channel. youtube.com/StarRaptor, and a place where I write some blogs and reviews and everything else, starraptor.substack.com.
Right on, right on. You can follow me on personal on Instagram and Threads at MNEUG1138, Twitter at NEUG45, of course at Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. All the above, of course, at the SWU. This past Monday, again, Joel and I talked about Lerv. Monday 8:30 p.m. right here on the Underworld channel, etc. And everywhere you get your podcasts, 5:30 Pacific. This coming Monday, 8:30, right here, again, on the Underworld YouTube channel, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. We are talking about death and Lent and penance and resurrection and new life and victory for all time and all that. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Come check us out. Also, please do check out our interview last week with Ethan Sachs. Yeah, again, thank you again for Ethan for coming on. One last little bit to note: Toronto Comic Con is around the corner. I gotta get on the ball with some of those things there, but looking forward to hanging out. If you're gonna be at Toronto Comic Con, come say hi. I'll be happy to say hi. Yeah, looking forward to seeing who's there. Claudia Gray's gonna be there, so hopefully you can get some get some insights from her, as always one of the greats in Star Wars paper canon. So yeah, looking forward to that. That's in about a month from now. So I got a bit of time, but until then, get to sort some stuff out. But yeah, this has been the Tractor Beat Comics reviews. Yeah, go check out Charles in Charge, ongoing number 43, your local comic book shop. Till then, happy reading.